It's wine, 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 wine. Time, 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 time. With Gina, 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 Gina. Gina, 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 Gina. It's midnight wine tasting with me, Gina. I have 3 bottles that I brought home from work with me. Let's fucking drink. Let's start with a very special bottle. We're gonna start with Venissa Winery. Small winery in Venice, Italy. There's a super romantic story behind this whole wine. Of course there is. There's gold on the bottle. There has to be a romantic story. I'm just gonna yada yada yada. Basically, Bissell, the winery behind Grape Prosecco, owner found some grapes, thought to have been extinct, Dorona, white grape, growing in an enclosed courtyard of a church. There's 118 islands in fucking Venice, and one of the islands, Mazzorbo, grapes are growing there. It is a white grape, again, thought to have been extinct. It has adapted to grow in incredibly salty conditions because sometimes they are below sea level. It can grow in soils that has 3 times the amount of salt content that was thought that grapes can grow in. This is also skin contact wine. This spends 30 days on the skin and then aged for 48 months in clay jars. It's gold leaf on the bottle. This is a 500 milliliter bottle. Look at how pretty that is. This is an orange wine. Okay, so this is a really pretty golden hue. It's clean, it's pristine, there's no sediment anywhere in the wine or in the bottle. As you saw, I just poured the very last of it into my glass. It's semi-aromatic, it's pretty subdued. If anything, it smells more reductive or oxidative. It smells more oxidative than, say, skin contact. It has a deeper and a richer nose to it, a little honeyed and like some dried apricot, and a little touch of salinity. I'm really excited. Cheers. It's a beautiful wine. That is a fucking beautiful wine. So the nose really does kind of follow onto the palate. It's subdued on the palate. This is not a showy wine. This is not an aggressive wine. For skin contact, it comes in soft, it comes in slow, it comes in subdued. There is honey on there. There's apricot, both fresh and lightly dried. Maybe some fresh citrus, just like a touch of fresh citrus, and a touch of like very fresh light herb. There is a light drying quality, which the tannins on a skin contact wine would allow, and then a light salinity. But this is like a ballerina of wine. She's pretty. She's delicate. She's strong, but she's light as a feather. There's a little bit on that back edge too, that oxidative quality that reminds me a touch of sherry, like a touch of palomino. But it's just like, it's barely there. You barely even fucking notice it. This is thankfully one of those wines that looks beautiful on the outside and tastes beautiful on the inside. Fucking worth it. I feel like I can't really top this, but let's continue. We're gonna stay in Italy. We're gonna move, however, to a slightly different part of the country. We'll move into Piedmont, into the Langhe region. This is Vietti. Everyone fucking knows Vietti. Vietti is everywhere. They're known for fucking everything in Piedmont. This is an incredibly fun and unique portrayal of Vietti, though. This is their Freisa. Freisa is an indigenous red grape growing in the Langhe region, and the traditional making of this wine is, we pick, press, ferment, lightly age, place in a bottle, and before they throw the cork in, they then put in some unfermented grape juice of the Freisa grape in, and then pop it. So it kind of starts a second fermentation in bottle. Very unusual, very demure. Not demure at all, actually. So with that second fermentation, you're getting a little fizz, you're getting a lot of juice. There's some sugars that aren't going to be moved into alcohol. So yeah. Give me that fucking thumbs down. Get out of here. Rude. Color is a beautiful royal purple. There's a little haziness, like there's no major sediment, but it's not pristine. Like there's a little cloudiness, touch of murkiness in here. It smells really fun. It smells juicy. It kind of reminds me of carbonic maceration wine, carbonic fermentation. It's really juicy, really playful. It smells brambly, very brambly, and like dark tilled earth, but juicy. Bright, zesty, and juicy with a dark edge. Let's taste it. This is a really fun wine. The nose translates to the palate. I am getting very ripe raspberries and blueberries and dark cherries. There is a little frizzante on there, just a touch. Like you would never call this a sparkling wine. It doesn't even fall into like the Lambrusco sparklings. But there's just like a little bit of like that Coca-Cola fizz, just like popping off. Just slightly dances on the palate. There is like a darkness. It really reminds me of like a hot summer's day when you go to pick berries and you get into the underbrush of those berries and the soil's still kind of wet. It hasn't dried out quite yet. And just that smell of like wet, dark soil with green foliage and ripe berries. This is definitely conveying a little bit of a wildness, a freshness, and earthiness. It has an incredibly clean finish. And there are a lot of tannins, incredibly fine tannins, very fine tannins, but they dry them out. They dry them out quite well. Not a typical bottling of Vietti. This is clearly them translating into the natty wine world, but while keeping roots in traditional Italian techniques. Yeah. This is fun, this is fanciful. This is, if you want to do a little Beaujolais, but move it into Italy. Let's end Margaux. Let's end in France, in Bordeaux, left bank, which this region, Margaux, talk about fucking expensive wines. This thankfully isn't that expensive. So this is a winery that's actually located in the Château Meyre. They have about 2 hectares of vines in Margaux. That's where this is coming from. Predominantly Merlot, a little Cabernet Sauvignon. 2017 vintage. Château Meyre. Gallen. They are aging 18 months in oak barrels, with 50% of it being new. It's a big pour, Gina. What are you doing to yourself? Let's check it out. So looking at it, really pretty dark burgundy red. It's clean and it's pristine. It is semi-translucent. I can barely see my fingers dancing, flipping myself out. It's pretty aromatic. Smells very, very Bordeaux. Dark stewed berries, dark cherries, menthol, and a touch of cigar. It's bright and it's youthful. Let's taste it. Hey, happy Saturday night. To you. Okay, so I opened this bottle around 7 o'clock tonight. I fully decanted it and then rebottled it. So this has had some time to breathe. This has had a little time to relax. Dark berries, dark stewed berries, dark cherries. I'm getting hit with a lot of menthol, a lot of like wild mint and fresh tobacco. Definitely some fresh tobacco. I'm getting a little pyrazines even though there's no Cab Franc on here. I'm getting like a touch of green pepper, a touch of greenness on there. Tannins are pretty aggressive. They hit at the end and then they just clear way. They explode in a firework of tannin. I have mentioned in the past that Bordeaux's, when they get a little bit older, come off as stinky feet. I am getting no stinky feet. This is 2017. That's great. It's yum. It's Bordeaux. I want a steak now. I want a steak and a fucking potato. Who's gonna bring that to me? Please. Thank you. And that's it, folks. That's the night. Eat and drink. Be merry. Give thanks. Appreciate you. Good night.